Hello guys, welcome back to another video. So today I thought I would take you through one of my workouts. Pardon my voice, like I am actually so much better, but I've been a bit poorly. I just still sound a bit raspy. So yeah, feeling much better. I had like a rest day and stuff yesterday. I had 2 rest days actually, which were very much needed. Annoying because I was feeling really like focused, motivated. This week's been a new week of like programming, so that always gives us like a little boost. I've been in the ovulation phase, like feeling really good. And then I just got slapped with a cold out of nowhere. Like me and Aaron had both felt a bit poorly on the weekend. And he was worse than me. And then Monday we woke up, felt completely fine. Tuesday fine. And then Wednesday it just like hit me like a ton of bricks. And Aaron felt a bit poorly again, but I was worse this time. So it's a bit deceiving because I felt a bit groggy on Saturday and Sunday, but it kind of just passed. The first time I've been ill this year though, so never mind. Anyway, so I've actually just finished my workouts. I didn't have time to film before because I trained with Aaron and we had to get in there because he has to get in and out to get to work. So yeah, just filming now, and then I'm gonna talk you through my workout. If you've seen my last video, I'm currently working on a slight glute imbalance, so we'll talk through some things that I'm doing for that. As I mentioned in my last video, sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I'm doing a full body split, so I've got 3 full body strength sessions with a lower body focus. Don't want to be skipping that upper body. I do actually quite like training upper, but I am a lower girl. And then I have 2 days that are more mobility, where I focus just on some like lighter kind of banded glute stuff just on my weak glute, and then I do some like deep core and then just some steady state cardio on the Stairmaster or like an incline walk for 2 days. So that's kind of like my 5-day split, but those like 2 days are a bit like I say, like lower impact, just some additional movement, but the 3 strength sessions are low impact but just a higher intensity. And I got an aura ring as well, so it's been very interesting this week. That came at the start of this week, like looking at the different stats and stuff. Obviously it takes some time to like collect all of the data, but interesting so far looking at that. I'm very much a data girl, which I think I mentioned that in my last video as well, so yeah, sorry if I'm repeating myself. But anyway, but yeah, that was a good session. Feeling really good. The rest definitely did us some good. I'm kind of like coming out of the ovulation phase now, going into luteal, yay. So, but yeah, still feeling good. It's normally at the end of the luteal phase that tends to get us. I have like a bit of a dip normally from ovulation into luteal. Sometimes I notice there's like a day where it's almost like the estrogen's dropped and the progesterone's rising, which is what happens when you leave ovulation and then go into the luteal. And it's almost like I feel that dip in my like mood. I don't know if I've already passed that or not. I know it's around now, but obviously with being poorly it's hard to tell. But yeah, anyway, it was a good session, so just going to talk you through it, kind of what I'm doing. This is the split that I've been doing for ages anyway. It's a split that I really enjoy. I tried to go back to body part split earlier this year and I did enjoy it, but not as much. Like I just wasn't really feeling it. And this is quite good to train with Aaron because then I make his a bit more upper body focus, so he can focus more on that as the areas that he wants to focus on, and we can still like train together, which is good. So yeah, anyway, without further ado, I'm going to talk you through this, and then also just will add some other little tips and stuff at the end. I'm going to get myself home now and have my breakfast and stuff, and then I think I'll sit down with like a matcha or a coffee and talk you guys through just some other little bits that I'm focusing on this. But yeah, enjoy. So I always start my workouts with a dynamic warm-up for around 5 to 10 minutes, which includes some active stretching to begin with, like these leg swings, just to get nice and loose. And at the minute, as I've mentioned, I'm really focusing on my hip mobility as I'm very quad dominant. So this helps, as I say, to get them nice and loose before I begin my workout so that my quads don't take over. So I often do lateral hip openers, as you've seen there, sumo squat to stand, and kneeling hip flexor to hamstring stretch as well. And I also include some quick upper ones in there too. Then from here, I move on to some glute activations, starting with a bilateral movement. So both glutes are working together. I typically start with a classic glute bridge. Again, it's a one that I've like really feel in my glutes, so I know it works well for me. And then I add a band again just to really help
with that mind-muscle connection. I also kept this clip in of me getting scared by a spider that was literally right next to my head. So that brought that to an abrupt end. Then I moved into some unilateral movements, so single leg exercises, and I do these on my weak side only. This will just help to get my weak right glute switched on, to get that mind muscle connection right before I begin my workout, and again some extra reps just to help it catch up. I typically do single leg glute bridges, kickbacks, and base stance RDLs, just body weight, as I really feel these in my glutes, so that's always a good sign that something right is happening when I'm feeling it in the right place. And then from there, I'm going to the main body of the workout. I start with hip thrusts. So I'm doing a few variations in this phase of workouts. But in this particular workout, I was doing low rep with some pauses. So I was doing 3 sets, 6 reps, and then a 3-second pause on each rep. So this increases time under tension to help with muscle growth. And for me, I really feel it in my glutes. Like I really feel my glutes working. So again, that's always a really good sign. This is the first week of these workouts, so I'm using this week to find the right weight for the rep range, and also making sure with bilateral movements where I'm using both legs that I feel both my glutes working together, and that my stronger side, which is my left side, isn't just taking over. And similarly with hip thrusts as well, I do often feel these in my quads, so just making sure that my quads aren't trying to do the work with these. And then from here, I move into my first upper exercise, which is chin-ups, max reps on this. And I was actually so shocked that I got 3 unassisted. It's been ages since I've done these, but I've got them throughout this phase of programming different variations to work on them. So I'm excited to see how I get on, as it's just never really been a strong exercise of mine. And then into my first unilateral lower movement. So my first single leg exercise, which is front foot elevated reverse lunges. So the elevation increases the range of motion, which really helps to stretch that glute max, which is what we want for my little weak glute, and creates more time under tension. So I always start with my weaker leg and do a couple of extra reps on this side again to help it catch up before I repeat on the left side. And then from there, I move to my next upper exercise, which is another bodyweight one, and is push-ups. Again, another one I really struggle with, but all the more reason to practice and get stronger with it. So I'm focusing here on a 3-second eccentric and a 3-second concentric with this one. So this again creates more time under tension to help build that strength. So it's 3 seconds down, 3 seconds up, basically, as best as I possibly can. Get my chest a bit closer to the floor, so something to work on. These were all sort of failure, which didn't take too long, but as I say, all good and a good benchmark. Is something for us to work on throughout this phase, as it is only week 1. And something, as I say, to get stronger with. Having performance goals is really, something that I always recommend to keep you going with your workouts, rather than always focusing on the aesthetics, because it does really help. And especially when you start to see those strength gains, it feels really, really good. So anyway, then into my first glute isolation exercise, which is weighted hyperextensions. I love these ones. I really feel them in my glutes. So with these, I round my upper back slightly and tuck my pelvis under as I drive my hips into the pad to again really feel this in my glutes and stop my back taking over. I also turn my toes out slightly, which you'll see in the next clip. I actually had the pad a little too high to begin with after the first set, so I changed it on my second one, so it was a little bit lower, and that definitely felt a bit better. But like I say, with this being the first week of these workouts, first time doing this exercise in a while, just finding out and adjusting, ready to start making progressions from next week. And also trying not to rush through these, as there isn't actually a pause in these, but I am just pausing at the top for a second to really feel these in my glutes. And then my final exercise was another glute isolation one, but this was a unilateral one. So these are cable standing diagonal kickbacks. So they're somewhere between a regular kickback and a hip abduction. So it's about a 45-degree angle that you're kicking out to, and just targets the glutes ever so slightly differently. I actually have all 3 kickback variations in this phase of workout, so this is just another one. And again, really like these and doing extra reps on the weaker side. And then finishing off with some stretching to cool down and hopefully prevent any DOMS and tightness, especially again, like I say, with this being the first week of these workouts, new stimulus to the muscles. So I've been a bit sore this week. So I do a few upper, a few lower, just static stretching for around 5 to 10 minutes, and then head off home to refuel. And that is a wrap, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this.
Hello guys, I've had a shower, had breakfast, I've actually had a matcha already, done some work. I've literally just been doing, like every morning I'll check like my client messages and check through new inquiries. I've had a couple of new clients to set up this morning as well, and then I'm just gonna have my little coffee and thought I would just do a little update off the back of the video and like finish it off. But I know I touched on some of this stuff in my last video, so I don't want to repeat myself too much, but the main thing that I'm want to reiterate with this is obviously, like, yes, the training sessions are important and I am trying to push myself to failure. However, with my bilateral movements, I'm trying to be really mindful that obviously when it gets to failure, my stronger side's taken over, which is my left side. So with my lower body stuff, I really don't want to like push it too much, if that makes sense. Like, I still want to train like hard, but also want to train with intention and get that mind muscle connection right and make sure my form is right. But also as well, like looking at the bigger picture, because yes, like I say, the sessions are very important, but your nutrition is, your recovery is, all the stuff outside of it. So I have like a mini sauna in the house. It's literally from Amazon. Had it ages. I had one before that, and like for years, and then it broke and then I bought a new one. So I try to have a sauna 2 or 3 times a week to help with recovery. I think when the weather starts getting cold, I might have some like magnesium salt baths. I love them when it's getting cold. Also obviously sleep. So it's been really interesting having the Aura ring on this week and tracking my sleep for the first time in years. I think the last time I tracked my sleep was when I used to wear my Fitbit years and years ago, and I always find it so interesting to see. So obviously making sure that I get to bed, I get up at like 5, so I'm always in bed by like 7:30 and fall asleep by 9, to get a good like solid 7.5 to 8 hours. I always feel like that's a good amount for me. And obviously good quality sleep, which part of that comes down to going to bed around the same time and getting up around the same time. Obviously on a weekend, I mean, don't get us wrong, I'll probably be falling asleep tonight. It's Friday. As I'm filming this, I would normally like fall asleep really early, and even on a weekend I'm like falling asleep so early, and I really want to stay up later because I'm like, it's the weekend. But I normally get up about 6:30 on a weekend, which I know sounds early to a lot of people, but that's a good lie-in for me, and I normally feel really refreshed from that. Don't get us wrong, there is times when I lie in later, unless I have to be up for something. I just don't set an alarm, and just get a good full big rest. So yeah, sleep and recovery really important. So part of that, like I say, is like trying to use my mini sauna. I'm gonna actually try and I found like a recovery room near me that does like the sauna and ice bath things, whereas here I just use my little Amazon sauna, then I go and have a cold shower, which is really quite refreshing. But I do want to try and like maybe once a month, I'm thinking to try and do it like around my period, for some proper like recovery, like me and Aaron maybe on a weekend going and using like a recovery pod thing. But that's not something I've done yet. But like I say, just taking my recovery seriously, it's really important. This is when your muscles grow, and also in line with that is eating enough, making sure I'm eating enough calories. So I'm eating a small surplus at the minute. Feeling really good for it, lots of energy. I feel like my digestion's really good. Focusing on a balance as well. I never restrict anything, but I do try to obviously have mostly whole foods. I try to follow an 80-20 balance, I would say. But yeah, like I said, just trying to keep my gut health in check and getting like variety, lots of colours, obviously lots of protein. That is the building blocks for obviously muscle growth, along with my carbs, enough fats for hormone production, like getting a good balance of everything. But like I say, I'm feeling really good because I'm eating so much more food. So this is like the first time I've done like an intentional surplus in a long time. So yeah, feeling good. Probably in like a 100 to 200 calorie surplus at the minute, so we'll see how it goes, and hopefully balance out a little bit over time. So I've got like 5-6 weeks till my holiday now, so I'm going to be in a surplus right up to my holiday, and we'll see where I'm at by then, and then assess the situation. I might stay in the surplus longer, but yeah. So obviously, like I say, food is really, really important as well, especially when it comes to building muscle. But regardless of like what your goal is, it's really important that you're, you know, having balance with your diet and getting in all of the stuff that your body needs so you can feel your best, so you can feel energized, so you're not feeling bloated and all of that horrible stuff. And obviously not feeling restricted as well. So just kind of wanted to highlight that, as they are also really important. And of course, I'm going to be progressively overloading each week. So as I mentioned, this is at the first week on these workouts, and I'm going to be progressing with them as the week goes on, not just with weight. Like I say, I want to lift with intention, and I feel like for me, one of the best ways to progressively overload is to add in pauses, pulses, slow down the eccentric. So with some of the movements, like I mentioned, I've already got those in. Even just like increasing the reps, like working within a rep range and then increasing the weight. So that's also really important for building muscle. And also just wanted to highlight finally, because I don't think I touched on this when I spoke about this in last week's video, but having imbalances is normal, and people do tend to have a slightly stronger side than the other. I don't know if I did say this actually. I feel like it's ringing a bell, but I just wanted to reiterate that's normal. I think sometimes it can feel a bit like, even for me, I was like, why is this happening? Like, what is wrong with me? Then I was like, Emma, come on now. Like that thought just kind of came in my head, and I was like, no, there's nothing wrong with me. Like it is like, it can happen. Like people just tend to have a more dominant side, and over time that can sometimes lead to an imbalance. And being able to be aware of that and like understand what to do to correct it is, like I say, a good thing. And then, you know, it's going to prevent any like injuries or like any ongoing issues in the future. So I don't really feel like there's anything like major necessarily. Like I know I mentioned last year I had that with my ankle. It could have been linked, I don't know for certain, and obviously I don't run as much at the minute. I've actually not running while I fix the imbalance to make sure that that's not making it worse. But I don't really run more than like 5-6k anyway, and I run that with no issues. It was more last year when I was racking up the mileage, but I'm not really that bothered about running like marathons and stuff. I like going for the odd like short run, but it's not really a big goal of mine. I just want to feel fit and healthy and stuff. And once my glutes have balanced out a bit, I'll probably add in some more like sprint work and stuff, because I do quite like doing them in the gym. But at the minute it's just steady state, either, as I say, incline treadmill walk or the stairmaster, where I can actually like really get that mind muscle connection and focus on like walking and feeling it, if that makes sense. Like making sure that my walking's not off or anything, so that my muscles are working together rather than my stronger side taken over, which could happen with something like running because it's more fast paced and stuff. So yeah, just wanted to highlight that there's nothing like wrong with you. Like everybody does tend, like I say, to have a dominant side, and just sometimes over time people can just experience imbalances from it. And I have always found that, like I say, with my glute, my left side, I'm right-handed, so typically your left side can be stronger because of that, which sounds backwards, but that is the case. But like I say, I noticed it like years ago, and I've now always started doing my single leg movements with my right side first, and I'm in a very good, like, I don't really have to think about that as much anymore. I feel like I definitely more like do that more automatically now, because that's been years, but I noticed it was getting a little bit off balance again. So yeah, just fixing that. Like I say, actually this time fixing it, working on things like my hip mobility, taking that really seriously, because as I say, I'm quite quad dominant, and actually that can just be from having tight hips, tight hip flexors. So really making a conscious effort with that, like 2 times a week, spending extra time doing those, and also before my sessions to get really loosened off, to
switch my glutes on as well. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that, guys. I hope you found this video helpful. Any questions, pop them below, and I'm excited to take you on some more of the glute balance journey, and I hope you, like I say, enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one.